In this video, we will review the pronunciation of regular past tense verbs. Did you know that ed in English is pronounced 3 different ways? Ed can be pronounced like t, as in worked. It can be pronounced d, as in played. And it can be pronounced id, as in started. Regular verbs in the past tense are easy to write because they all end in ed. The difficult thing about regular past verbs is the pronunciation. But don't worry, there are some rules to learn and follow to help you with your pronunciation of regular past tense verbs. In this video, you will get a short introduction to these 3 sounds, but before we start, we need to learn a little bit about voiced and voiceless sounds in English. A voiced sound is one that vibrates your vocal cords. Your vocal cords are in your throat, and they are what produce sound when you speak. A voiceless sound is one that does not vibrate your vocal cords. You make these sounds with your mouth and with air. To understand what that means, place your hand on your neck like this. Now make this sound. S. Did you feel anything in your throat? No. This means that s is a voiceless sound. Now put your hand back on your neck and say zzz. Did you feel something in your throat this time? Yes. That's because the sound that z makes is a voiced sound. When you feel the sound in your throat, it's making a vibration and it's voiced. When you do not feel the sound in your throat, it is not making a vibration, and we call this voiceless, or we can say no voice. Let's try a few more sounds together. Place your hand on your neck and say the following sounds. Make a guess where you think it will go. Repeat the sound shh. Did you feel anything vibrating in your throat? No. This sound is a voiceless sound. Now repeat the sound ch. Once again, this is a voiceless sound. Repeat mm. This time, you should have felt the vibration in your throat, and therefore the sound that M makes is a voiced sound. Repeat ye. This is also a voiced sound. Repeat p. This is clearly a voiceless sound because we made no noise in our throat. Now repeat b. This is a voiced sound. Repeat k. This is a voiceless sound. Repeat g. This is a voiced sound. Repeat f. The sound that the letter F makes is a voiceless sound. Repeat v. The sound that the letter V makes is a voiced sound. Repeat n. The letter N produces a voiced sound. And finally, repeat x. The letter X makes a voiceless sound. Now that you understand the basic idea behind voiced and voiceless sounds, you might be wondering, why do I need to know this for past tense pronunciation? Good question. Let's find out. As we already know, ed can be pronounced 3 ways, like t, like d, and with an extra syllable, id. The first rule for regular past tense pronunciation is that if your base verb ends in a voiceless sound, the ed ending will sound like t. Here are some base verbs that end in voiceless sounds: help, work, watch, miss, and wash. When you write these regular verbs in the past tense, you only add ed. Let's look at help. We add ed, but when we pronounce it, we simply add a T sound to the end of the base verb. I will say the past form 3 times, first slowly and then faster. Helped, helped, helped. Now you try. Say the past form of help slowly and then faster and faster. Now let's look at work. We will add ed to make it past tense, and then the pronunciation is worked, worked, worked. You try. Next, we have watch. We add ed, and the pronunciation is watched, watched, watched. Miss becomes missed, missed, missed. And finally, wash is pronounced washed, washed, washed. Remember, the spelling of these regular verbs is ed at the end, but the pronunciation is a T. So the first rule of ed sounds is that if the base verb ends in a voiceless sound, you add a T to the end. The second rule for past tense pronunciation is that if the base verb ends in a voiced sound, you add a D sound to the end. Here are base verbs that end in voiced sounds. Remember, these are the ones you can feel in your throat: play, move, rain, buzz, and care. Like all regular verbs, we will add ed to the end of these base words to spell the past form correctly. But this time, you will pronounce the past form by adding d to the end of the base verb. For example, play sounds like played, played, played. Now you try. Say the past form of played slowly at first and then faster. Next, we have move. Move becomes moved, moved, moved. You try. Rain becomes rained, rained, rained. Buzz becomes buzzed, buzzed, buzzed. And finally, care becomes cared, cared, cared. So again, if the base verb ends in a voiced sound, you simply add d to the end for correct pronunciation. The third possible sound ed makes in the simple past is id. This is when you add an extra syllable to a word. We only pronounce ed endings like this when the base verb finishes in a T or a D. For example, all of these words finish in a T or a D in their base form: wait, visit, start, need, and decide. Decide finishes in a silent E, so we still count it as finishing in a D. Let's look at wait. Wait only has one syllable, but when we make it past tense, it becomes 2 syllables. Waited, waited, waited. Visit has 2 syllables in its base form: visit, So when we make it past, we have to add a third syllable, id, and it sounds like visited, visited, visited. Start has one syllable. When we make it past, we say started, started, started. Need also only has one syllable, so when we put it in its past form, it has two. Needed, needed, needed. And finally, decide has two syllables in its base form, and in its past form, it has three. Decided, decided, decided. So the third rule for past tense pronunciation is that if the base form finishes in a T or a D, the past tense pronunciation is an extra syllable, id. Let's review what we've learned about past tense pronunciation of regular verbs. Regular verbs in the simple past finish in ed. Ed can be pronounced three different ways depending on the base verb. T is used with base verbs that end in voiceless sounds. D is used with base verbs that end in voiced sounds. And id is used with base verbs that end in the letter T or D. Now, let's see how well you can hear and say regular past tense verbs. Click on the next arrow below to move to the practice activities.